In this lesson, you'll be building a simple painting app. You'll be learning how to detect mouse events and coordinates so you know where the mouse is and which buttons have been clicked. You'll be learning how to use code to draw lines and circles on the canvas, and also using drop-down menus to get and set properties. Opening up idle, I'm going to position the shell on the right hand side of the screen and start a new file. Now inside the file, the first thing we need to do is import tkinter, which is going to be our interface obviously, and I'm going to say window equals tkinter.tk like in many of the other projects we've done. And then we need to set the size of our window. And what we're going to do, be careful actually spelling geometry, I'll make a few mistakes with that. What we're going to do, I know already that our canvas that we're drawing on is going to be 640 pixels wide, and I also know that it's going to be 480 pixels high, and I want to leave a gap all around that, so I'm going to add on 40 onto that, so I've got 680 pixels wide. And I think actually I'll make it a bit deeper, so we've got room for a few buttons at the bottom, 580 pixels high. And just so we can check that's working, let's do a win main loop. It will work without this, but win main loop just means that all the events that we're going to connect to it and bind to it will work. I'm going to save that and I'll put it in my usual folder, and I'm just going to call that painting.py. And if we run that now, we should see our interface is ready. There we go. And I think I'm just going to configure it to a very similar color actually. I think I will set it to background equals light grey. If you're in the UK, that's the American spelling we need to use on that. Let's just check that's working properly. There we go. Yeah, it's fractionally different color. And then what we're going to do is make a canvas on here. Now remember, the canvas object, I'm just going to call it CVS, is an object that we can actually draw on. And because we can draw on it with, normally we position where we want to draw things on it, but we can draw on it in the position of the mouse. It's the way that we're actually going to build our painting application. We're going to say wherever the mouse is, that's where we want to draw. I'll just widen this out because I've got quite a long line to type in here. What I'm going to need to do is set the width and height of it. So I'm going to say width equals 480. Sorry, width equals 640. Height equals 480. And just put a bracket on the end of that. And then I'm going to save that. And if we run that now, we should see our canvas appear on it, but we forgot to place it actually. Sorry about that. So we'll do cvs.place. I'm going to set the X value to be 20, so it's just in a little bit from the left, and my Y value to be 20, so it's just down a little bit from the top, and that should pretty much have an even border around the top and the left. There we go, and we've even got a nice sort of grey edge on it. So that's looking great for our drawing space. So the first thing we need to do now is just start working out how we can check where the mouse is. And to do that, we're going to use the bind command, and we're going to say bind, and I'm going to put in here the angle bracket and button -1. So that's the left mouse button. We're looking to see what happens when we press that. And if we press it, we're going to make it run a function. And my function is going to be called mouse down handler. And that's often the kind of command you might make for something that is actually going to deal with mouse down movements when you press the mouse button or mouse move. Now we will need to deal with two events here, when the button gets clicked or pushed down, and also when the mouse moves, but I'm just going to start off with the mouse down just to get a simple bit of this program working so you can see how it's going to go. We will need to define that function obviously, and what I've done, I've double clicked that and copied it just so I haven't got to type it again. I know that way I've spelt it properly. And we always put event after a function like this when we're dealing with key events or mouse events. And what we're going to do, we're going to get two things from it. We're going to get the X and Y value. And the way we can just check that's working, what we'll do is I'm just going to say print event. So every time I click the mouse, we should find it gets called, this event gets called, and it should print the information about that event. So let's try running that. I'm going to click on my canvas now, and you can see nothing is being drawn, but it's giving us the number 1, which is the mouse button, left mouse button. If I click the right button, it would be the other one. And it's giving us the 102 is our X value at the first one, and the Y value as well. So if I click in the corner, I'm getting very low values for X and Y, which makes sense. Let's just make that a bit wider. And as I click across, my X value is going up and my Y value is going down. So all I need to do now is think about how I can use that to actually draw something based on the X and Y position. So in here, what I'm going to do to make life a bit easier, I'm going to have a variable that I'm going to say X equals event.x and Y equals event.y, and that'll be easy because I need to use those variables a couple of times. And on the canvas, I'm going to create an oval just to start drawing. Now my oval is actually going to be a circle, but we have to call it an oval. And what I'm going to do is start it off at X and Y. Now I need to be a little bit less than X and Y, and to make life a bit easier, what I think I'll do, I'm going to make a variable called SZ, which will stand for size, and that will be the size of my dot, and I'm going to start it off as being 10. And I'm going to position my oval at X minus whatever that size is, Y minus whatever that size is, and then I'm going to go across to X plus whatever that size is, Y plus whatever that size is. Just because we haven't got a lot of space, I think I'll take those spaces out just to try and fit everything in. And we're going to set a fill color for it, and my fill color is just going to be red, and the width is going to be 0. The width of the line around the outside is 0. We don't actually need to have a line around it. So let's save that, and hopefully now when we run it, we should get, every time we click the mouse, rather than telling us the coordinates, it's drawing a point on the screen. So that's pretty good. It's actually the first part of our drawing program. If we kept clicking, we could draw something very basic with that, and obviously we can come on to changing colors and things a little later, but that's getting our very first part working. So what I would do is get that working on your computer. When it's all working, go on to the next video.